The morning fog hung heavy over the construction site as James Morrison adjusted his leather satchel and approached the massive stone foundation. As the newly appointed municipal inspector for the city of Chicago in 1893, he had grown accustomed to the endless parade of construction projects that seemed to spring from the earth with impossible speed. What troubled him, however, were the photographs he carried in his satchel, images that defied everything he thought he knew about his city's history. The photograph in his hands showed the very plot of land where he now stood, but instead of the bustling construction site before him, it depicted an elaborate, fully formed structure with architectural details that would have taken decades to complete. The image was dated merely 5 years earlier, yet according to all official records, this land had been vacant farmland until construction began just 18 months ago. Morrison had been collecting such photographs for months, initially dismissing them as mislabeled or incorrectly dated. But as his collection grew, a disturbing pattern emerged. Across Chicago, across America, and according to his correspondences with colleagues abroad, across the entire world, there existed photographic evidence of magnificent structures, complete cities, and advanced infrastructure that officially had never existed. The world's Columbian Exposition of 1893 provided the catalyst for his investigation. The fair's organizers claimed to have constructed the entire White City in just 2 years, yet the photographs Morrison had acquired suggested otherwise. Images showed the exposition buildings in various states of completion dating back nearly a decade, with different crowds, different seasons, and subtle architectural variations that spoke of organic development rather than rapid construction. Dr. Sarah Chun, a professor of archaeology at the newly established University of Chicago, had become Morrison's unlikely ally in this investigation. Her academic training provided the analytical framework that his practical experience lacked. Together, they had begun documenting what they termed temporal inconsistencies in the photographic record. The evidence extended far beyond Chicago. Photographs from Paris showed the Eiffel Tower in various stages of construction spanning nearly 20 years, despite official records indicating a construction period of just over 2 years. Images from London revealed entire districts that appeared fully developed decades before their supposed construction dates. Most puzzling were the photographs from smaller cities and towns across America's frontier, showing elaborate Victorian architecture and sophisticated urban planning in locations that should have been wilderness. Chun had developed a theory that she shared only with Morrison, fearing academic ridicule. She believed they were witnessing evidence of a massive coordinated effort to rewrite history itself. The photographs, she argued, were remnants of a previous civilization or advanced development that had been systematically erased from official records. The detective work required to verify these images had consumed months of their time. They traveled to photography studios, examined negative plates, and interviewed the photographers themselves when possible. Time and again, they found legitimate provenance for images that contradicted accepted historical timelines. In Philadelphia, they discovered a collection of photographs showing Independence Hall, surrounded by elaborate gardens and additional buildings that matched known historical descriptions. The photographer, an elderly German immigrant named Heinrich Gottfried, insisted he had taken the images during his first week in America in 1876, yet the structures in his photographs were supposed to have been demolished decades earlier to make room for urban development. Gottfried's studio contained hundreds of similar anomalies. Photographs of Boston showed a harbor filled with sailing vessels of designs that predated known shipbuilding capabilities by several decades. Images of New York depicted bridges spanning the East River that bore no resemblance to any known engineering projects, yet showed clear signs of heavy use and weather inconsistent with structures that had existed for many years. The pattern extended to the American West, where photographs showed elaborate railroad stations, multi-story buildings, and sophisticated infrastructure in towns that were supposed to be rough frontier settlements. Mining operations appeared to have industrial capabilities that exceeded contemporary technological understanding, with machinery and techniques that seemed decades ahead of their time. Morrison's investigation had led him to the archives of the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, where he made perhaps his most significant discovery. Buried in a collection of donated materials, he found a leather portfolio containing what appeared to be official architectural surveys of major American cities. These surveys, dated between 1840 and 1860, showed detailed plans for urban development that wouldn't be implemented according to official records until the 1880s and 1890s. The surveys included specifications for electrical systems, sewage treatment facilities, and transportation networks that supposedly hadn't been invented yet. More troubling still, they contained annotations in multiple languages, suggesting coordination between international engineering teams working toward common goals across different continents. Chen had uncovered parallel evidence in European archives. Photographs from German cities showed reconstruction efforts following what appeared to be systematic demolition of existing structures, with new buildings rising on foundations that seemed far older than any known construction in those areas. French photographers had documented similar patterns, with images showing the removal of elaborate facades to reveal even more sophisticated architecture beneath. The scope of the apparent reconstruction became clearer as their investigation expanded. Photographs from Russia showed newly completed buildings in St. Petersburg and Moscow that matched architectural styles predating the reign of Peter the Great, yet bearing construction dates from the 1870s and 1880s. Images from Australia depicted fully developed cities emerging from landscapes that were supposed to be unexplored wilderness, complete with infrastructure that would have required decades of development. Perhaps most compelling were the photographs that documented the removal process itself. Image after image showed crews systematically dismantling elaborate structures, carefully cataloging architectural elements, and preparing foundation sites for new construction. These weren't random demolition projects, but coordinated efforts that followed specific protocols for preservation and reconstruction. The photographic evidence suggested that this reconstruction effort had been global in scale and remarkably coordinated in execution. Similar architectural styles appeared simultaneously in cities separated by thousands of miles, using construction techniques that were supposedly developed independently in different regions. The timing of these projects aligned too perfectly to be coincidental, yet there existed no official documentation of any international coordination effort. Morrison had begun mapping the reconstruction timeline using the photographic evidence, and a clear pattern emerged. The most intensive reconstruction activity appeared to have occurred between 1860 and 1880, with completion phases extending into the 1890s. This timeline coincided with significant historical events: the American Civil War, various European conflicts, and major political upheavals that could have provided cover for such extensive reconstruction efforts. The technology depicted in many photographs exceeded official historical capabilities by significant margins. Images showed construction equipment that appeared more advanced than contemporary machinery, transportation systems that predated known technological development by decades, and manufacturing processes that suggested a level of industrial coordination previously unknown. Chen had identified what she termed architectural anachronisms in the photographic record: Gothic Revival buildings that predated the Gothic Revival movement, Art Nouveau structures appearing before the style had been officially recognized, and engineering solutions that wouldn't be patented for years after their apparent implementation. These anachronisms appeared consistently across different geographic regions, suggesting access to common architectural knowledge or design standards. The investigation had revealed photographic documentation of educational institutions, libraries, and cultural centers that appeared fully operational decades before their official founding dates. Universities showed complete campuses with mature landscaping and established traditions, yet official histories indicated recent establishment. Libraries contained vast collections housed in elaborate buildings that should have taken generations to accumulate and construct. Medical facilities presented particularly puzzling evidence. Photographs showed hospitals equipped with surgical theaters, research laboratories, and treatment facilities that exceeded contemporary medical understanding. These institutions appeared to operate according to standards that wouldn't be officially established for decades, with protocols and procedures that suggested advanced medical knowledge. The transportation evidence proved equally mystifying. Photographs documented railway networks that appeared more extensive and sophisticated than official records indicated. These systems showed signs of heavy use and maintenance that suggested operation over many years. Yet construction dates fell within impossibly short time frames, according to historical documentation. Urban planning elements appeared in photographs decades before the concepts should have been available. Centralized sewage systems, electrical distribution networks, and public utility coordination showed levels of sophistication that officially hadn't been achieved until much later periods. These systems appeared fully integrated into urban environments that were supposed to be in early development stages. Morrison's examination of private correspondence from the period had revealed numerous references to the great work and completion of the project among civic leaders, engineers, and government officials. These references appeared in personal letters and private journals, but were notably absent from official records and public documentation. International correspondence showed similar patterns across different countries and languages. French officials wrote of finalizing the restoration. German engineers discussed completing the renewal, and British administrators referenced concluding the reconstruction initiative. These communications suggested awareness of a coordinated effort that transcended national boundaries. The photographic evidence included documentation of massive earth-moving operations that reshaped entire landscapes. Images showed the creation of harbors, the rerouting of rivers, and the leveling of hills to accommodate new urban development. The scale of these projects suggested engineering capabilities and organizational resources that exceeded any known contemporary efforts. Archaeological evidence had begun to support the photographic documentation. Excavations in various cities had uncovered foundation layers that predated supposed construction dates by significant margins. These foundations showed construction techniques and materials that didn't match contemporary building standards, suggesting either advanced knowledge or reconstruction of existing structures. The preservation of architectural elements provided additional evidence of systematic reconstruction. Photographs showed careful documentation and storage of decorative elements, structural components, and artistic features during demolition phases. These elements often appeared in later construction projects, suggesting planned reuse rather than random salvage operations. Morrison had documented patterns in the reconstruction that suggested specific objectives beyond simple urban development. The new structures consistently incorporated improved defensive positions, better communication networks, and enhanced transportation connections. These improvements appear designed to support centralized administration and rapid deployment of resources. The coordination required for such extensive reconstruction would have demanded unprecedented international cooperation and resource allocation. The photographic evidence suggested this cooperation had been achieved, yet no official documentation acknowledged such coordination efforts. The absence of official records appeared deliberate rather than accidental. Financial record from the period showed massive expenditures that official budgets couldn't adequately explain. Municipal bonds, private investments, and government allocations appeared insufficient to fund the construction projects documented in the photographs. The source of additional funding remained unexplained in official documents. The workforce required for such extensive reconstruction should have left significant demographic traces, yet census records showed no unusual population movements or concentration of construction workers during the relevant periods. The photographs showed large work crews and extensive construction activity, but these workers appeared to have vanished from official population records. Chun had theorized that the reconstruction represented an effort to standardize global infrastructure according to specific design principles. The consistency of architectural styles, urban planning elements, and technological implementation across different regions suggested common standards and coordinated implementation rather than independent development. The educational implications of such reconstruction were staggering. If the photographic evidence was accurate, it suggested that advanced knowledge of engineering, architecture, and urban planning had been available decades earlier than officially recognized. This knowledge appeared to have been systematically implemented and then obscured from historical records. The photographs documented not only construction, but also the training of personnel to operate and maintain the new infrastructure. Images showed educational programs, technical training facilities, and knowledge transfer activities that appeared designed to ensure proper operation of the reconstructed systems. Morrison's investigation had revealed that many of the architects, engineers, and planners credited with major 19th century developments had extensive travel histories and international connections that weren't emphasized in their official biographies. These connections suggested possible coordination networks that facilitated knowledge sharing and project coordination. The artistic elements documented in the photographs showed remarkable consistency across different regions and cultures. Decorative patterns, sculptural themes, and architectural details appeared to follow common design principles that transcended traditional cultural boundaries. This artistic standardization suggested centralized design authority or shared cultural knowledge. The environmental modifications documented in the photographs extended beyond urban development to include large-scale landscape engineering. Images showed the creation of parks, the establishment of botanical gardens, and the implementation of conservation areas that appeared designed according to unified environmental management principles. The technological infrastructure revealed in the photographs included communication systems that predated official development of such technologies. Telegraph networks, signal systems, and coordination mechanisms appeared more sophisticated and extensive than contemporary technological capabilities should have supported. The preservation of historical documentation became a critical concern as Morrison and Chen realized the implications of their discoveries. The photographic evidence they had collected represented potentially the only remaining record of events that had been systematically removed from official histories. Their investigation had expanded to include examination of private collections, family archives, and institutional records that might contain additional photographic evidence. Each new discovery reinforced the pattern of systematic reconstruction and deliberate historical revision that the photographs documented. The scope of the reconstruction suggested planning and preparation that must have extended over many years before implementation began. The coordination required for such extensive projects implied advanced knowledge and careful preparation that wasn't reflected in any known historical planning documents. The evidence suggested that the 19th century reconstruction represented one of the most significant undertakings in human history, involving the systematic replacement and upgrading of global infrastructure according to advanced design principles. The fact that this effort had been largely erased from official historical records raised profound questions about the nature of historical documentation and the forces that shape accepted historical narratives. As Morrison closed his investigation files that evening, he reflected on the implications of what he and Chun had discovered. The photographs in his collection represented evidence of human capabilities and organizational achievements that exceeded anything officially recognized for their time period. Whether this reconstruction represented recovery from some great catastrophe, implementation of advanced knowledge from unknown sources, or something else entirely, it demonstrated that the 19th century had witnessed transformations far more extensive and coordinated than any official history acknowledged. The photographs proved that the world of the 19th century had indeed been reset, rebuilt according to principles and capabilities that remained largely hidden from conventional historical understanding. The evidence was there, preserved in images that documented one of humanity's most remarkable and mysterious achievements, waiting for those willing to see beyond accepted historical narratives to recognize the true scope of what had been accomplished during those transformative decades. 08:36. The weight of their discoveries had begun to affect both Morrison and Chun in ways they hadn't anticipated. The systematic nature of the historical revision they had uncovered suggested forces and capabilities that challenged fundamental assumptions about 19th century civilization. As winter settled over Chicago in early 1894, their investigation took on new dimensions that would prove even more disturbing than their initial findings. Chen had developed contacts with colleagues in European universities who were conducting similar research, though none dared speak openly about their findings. Through carefully coded correspondence, she learned that photographic anomalies had been documented across the entire European continent. Professor Klaus Zimmermann at the University of Berlin had amassed a collection of over 300 photographs showing German cities in various stages of reconstruction between 1860 and 1885. Zimmermann's most compelling evidence came from photographs of Prussia following the Franco-Prussian War. Official histories described extensive war damage and subsequent rebuilding efforts, but his photographs told a different story. The images showed systematic dismantling of existing structures that bore no signs of battle damage, followed by reconstruction using identical architectural plans across multiple cities simultaneously. The coordination implied by these photographs exceeded any known military or governmental capability of the period. The pattern extended throughout German territories with mechanical precision. Photographs showed work crews following identical protocols, using similar equipment, and implementing standardized construction techniques regardless of local traditions or available materials. This standardization appeared to have been imposed rather than evolved, suggesting external direction of the reconstruction efforts. Morrison had received similar reports from colleagues in American territories. The westward expansion of the United States provided cover for extensive reconstruction activities that the photographic evidence suggested had preceded official settlement dates by significant margins. Railroad towns appeared fully developed in images dated years before the railroad lines were supposed to have reached those locations. The discovery of underground infrastructure proved particularly significant. Photographs from various cities showed extensive tunnel systems, underground chambers, and subterranean transportation networks that exceeded any known construction projects. These underground facilities appear to connect major buildings and provide alternative transportation routes that weren't documented in any official plans. Chen had obtained photographs from mining operations across the American West that documented the discovery of pre-existing excavations and underground structures. These facilities showed construction techniques and architectural features that didn't match contemporary mining practices. Instead, they appeared to be sophisticated underground cities that had been abandoned and subsequently rediscovered during official mining operations. The preservation of these underground facilities suggested they had been maintained during some transition period before being officially rediscovered. Photographs showed evidence of systematic sealing and later reopening of underground passages, indicating controlled access rather than accidental abandonment and recovery. The technological aspects of the reconstruction became more apparent as Morrison and Chen examined photographs with greater scrutiny. Construction equipment appeared in images that bore no resemblance to known machinery of the period. These devices showed capabilities for precision cutting, heavy lifting, and material transport that exceeded contemporary engineering by significant margins. Power sources for this advanced equipment remained unexplained. The machinery appeared to operate without visible connection to steam engines or other known power systems of the era. Some photographs suggested the use of electrical power decades before such applications were supposed to be available, while others showed equipment that seemed to operate according to unknown principles entirely. The workforce documented in the photographs presented additional mysteries. While large crews appeared in construction images, individual workers often seemed identical across different photographs taken in separate locations. This repetition suggested either extensive travel by specialized work teams or systematic duplication that defied explanation. Morrison had begun cataloging the clothing, tools, and techniques shown in workforce photographs. The equipment used by construction crews appeared standardized across different regions and time periods, suggesting centralized supply systems and unified training programs. Workers demonstrated techniques and used tools that weren't documented in any contemporary trade manuals or training programs. The organizational structure implied by the photographic evidence suggested management capabilities that exceeded any known corporate or governmental entity of the period. The coordination of simultaneous construction projects across multiple continents would have required communication and logistical capabilities that officially didn't exist until decades later. Financial analysis of the reconstruction revealed resource allocation that couldn't be explained through any known economic systems of the period. The scale of material transport, equipment deployment, and workforce coordination implied financial resources that exceeded the combined treasuries of major nations. The source of such resources remained completely undocumented in any official records. Chen had discovered photographs showing the establishment of educational institutions specifically designed to train personnel for reconstruction activities. These facilities appeared overnight in locations that had previously been undeveloped, complete with specialized equipment and instructional materials that weren't available through any known educational suppliers. The curriculum implied by these training facilities included subjects that weren't officially recognized as academic disciplines until much later periods. Photographs showed instruction in urban planning, environmental engineering, and systems coordination that predated the formal development of these fields by decades. Morrison's investigation of library collections had revealed systematic acquisition of technical manuals and reference materials that weren't supposed to exist during the Reconstruction period. These libraries appeared fully stocked with advanced engineering texts, architectural references, and scientific journals that predated their known publication dates. The preservation of knowledge during the Reconstruction suggested systematic collection and protection of information that might otherwise have been lost. Photographs showed elaborate library facilities and document storage systems that appeared designed to maintain information across extended periods of social and political upheaval. Medical facilities documented in the photographs showed capabilities that exceeded contemporary medical understanding by substantial margins. Hospitals appeared equipped with surgical theaters, diagnostic equipment, and treatment protocols that wouldn't be officially developed for decades. The speed with which these facilities became operational suggested pre-existing medical knowledge and training programs. The standardization of medical practices across different regions implied coordinated medical education and protocol development that transcended national boundaries. Photographs showed identical medical equipment and facility layouts in hospitals separated by thousands of miles, suggesting common design standards and supply sources. Transportation systems revealed in the photographs demonstrated engineering capabilities that officially didn't exist during the Reconstruction period. Railroad networks showed precision surveying and construction techniques that exceeded known capabilities, while harbor facilities displayed understanding of hydrodynamics and materials engineering that predated formal development of these disciplines. The integration of transportation systems across different modes showed planning and coordination that required comprehensive understanding of regional geography, resource distribution, and population patterns. This level of planning suggested access to information and analytical capabilities that weren't officially available during the Reconstruction period. Agricultural developments documented in the photographs showed systematic implementation of farming techniques and land management practices that weren't formally recognized until much later periods. Images revealed coordinated soil improvement, irrigation systems, and crop rotation programs that appeared to follow unified agricultural science principles. The environmental restoration efforts visible in the photographs suggested understanding of ecological relationships and environmental management that predated formal recognition of these concepts. Large-scale reforestation, water management, and soil conservation projects appeared designed according to comprehensive environmental planning principles. Morrison had documented patterns in the reconstruction that suggested specific objectives beyond infrastructure development. The new facilities consistently incorporated advanced defensive capabilities, enhanced communication systems, and improved resource storage and distribution networks. These improvements appear designed to support coordinated administration and rapid response to various challenges. The strategic positioning of reconstruction projects suggested military planning and defensive considerations that exceeded known strategic thinking of the period. Facilities were located to provide mutual support, overlapping coverage, and coordinated response capabilities that implied advanced strategic planning and threat assessment. Manufacturing facilities established during the reconstruction showed production capabilities that exceeded known industrial capacity of the period. Photographs revealed factories equipped with precision machinery, quality control systems, and production coordination that appeared decades ahead of contemporary industrial development. The standardization of manufactured goods implied by the photographs suggested quality control and design coordination that transcended individual manufacturing facilities. Products showed consistent design elements and construction quality regardless of their supposed point of origin, indicating centralized design authority and coordinated manufacturing standards. Chun had identified what appeared to be research and development facilities in the photographic record. These institutions showed laboratory equipment, testing facilities, and experimental programs that exceeded known scientific capabilities of the Reconstruction period. The research being conducted appeared to support ongoing technological development and innovation. The scientific equipment documented in these facilities included instruments and apparatus that weren't supposed to be available for decades after the Reconstruction period. The presence of such equipment suggested access to scientific knowledge and manufacturing capabilities that weren't reflected in any official technological histories. Communication systems revealed in the photographs showed coordination capabilities that exceeded known technology of the period. Signal networks, message relay systems, and information coordination appeared more sophisticated than officially available communication methods, suggesting alternative technological development or access to unknown communication technologies. The speed and accuracy of coordination implied by the reconstruction project suggested real-time communication capabilities that weren't officially available until much later periods. The synchronization of activities across vast distances required information transfer capabilities that challenged accepted understanding of 19th century technology. Morrison's examination of port facilities had revealed shipping and cargo handling capabilities that exceeded known maritime technology of the period. Harbor construction, cargo management systems, and ship design elements shown in photographs suggested advanced understanding of marine engineering and logistics coordination. The international shipping patterns implied by port facility development suggested trade relationships and cargo coordination that transcended known commercial networks of the period. The standardization of port facilities across different regions indicated common design principles and coordinated development rather than independent evolution. Resource extraction operations documented in the photographs showed mining, forestry, and agricultural techniques that exceeded contemporary capabilities. The efficiency and environmental consideration demonstrated in these operations suggested advanced understanding of resource management and environmental impact that wasn't formally recognized during the Reconstruction period. The coordination of resource extraction with reconstruction activities implied comprehensive planning and supply chain management that exceeded known logistical capabilities. The timing and distribution of resource extraction appeared designed to support specific reconstruction objectives rather than general economic development. Urban planning elements revealed in the photographs demonstrated understanding of population dynamics, traffic flow, and social organization that predated formal development of urban planning as a discipline. The consistency of planning principles across different cities suggested common planning authority and coordinated implementation. The integration of various urban systems shown in the photographs suggested comprehensive understanding of complex social and technical relationships that exceeded known planning capabilities of the period. Water systems, transportation networks, commercial districts, and residential areas appeared designed as integrated systems rather than independent developments. The preservation of cultural and artistic elements during Reconstruction suggested systematic protection of heritage and identity that required careful planning and coordination. Photographs showed the careful removal, storage, and reinstallation of artistic and architectural elements that maintained cultural continuity despite extensive physical reconstruction. The standardization of artistic elements across different regions suggested coordination of cultural development that transcended traditional cultural boundaries. Common decorative themes, architectural styles, and artistic principles appeared simultaneously in different cultural contexts, indicating centralized cultural planning or shared aesthetic authority. Morrison and Chon had begun to recognize that their investigation had uncovered evidence of capabilities and coordination that exceeded anything officially acknowledged for the 19th century. The Reconstruction represented not just infrastructure development, but comprehensive social, technological, and cultural transformation that appeared to follow unified principles and objectives. The scope and coordination of the Reconstruction suggested planning and preparation that must have extended over generations before implementation. The knowledge, resources, and organizational capabilities required for such extensive transformation implied access to information and technologies that weren't reflected in any official historical records. The systematic erasure of the Reconstruction from official histories suggested deliberate effort to obscure these achievements and capabilities. The fact that photographic evidence had survived while written records had been removed indicated careful selection of what information would be preserved for future discovery. As their investigation continued into the spring of 1894, Morrison and Chin realized they were documenting not just historical anomalies, but evidence of human capabilities and achievements that challenged fundamental assumptions about technological and social development. The photographs they had collected represented proof that the 19th century had witnessed transformations far more extensive and sophisticated than any official history acknowledged, transformations that suggested access to knowledge and capabilities that remained largely hidden from conventional understanding. Their research had revealed that the world of the 19th century had indeed undergone a complete reset, rebuilt according to advanced principles, and coordinated on a global scale through means that exceeded any known organizational capabilities of the period. The photographic evidence proved that human civilization had achieved levels of coordination and capability during the Reconstruction period that wouldn't be officially recognized for decades, if ever, in conventional historical narratives.